and talk about giving farmers information to make better decisions. We had a farmer, we showed him and said, this is what your premium would cost for a whole corn policy. And the farmer goes, shoot, I spend more on diesel than that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Darrell's Corner. Today, I'm very honored to have as our guest Dr. Rainey from the University of Arkansas. Dr. Rainey is the Assistant Vice President of the Division of Agriculture, and it is our pleasure to have him here today. Welcome.
Absolutely, I thank you. Excited to be here, as I said, on my first video podcast. So excited to be here.
well, we hope we meet your expectations here. So.
You've already exceeded them, but most importantly, we're talking about helping farmers and ranchers. So I'm excited for this opportunity.
All right, it's been a pleasure. And over the years, we worked together and stuff, and I think some of the work that what you have been doing for farmers and ranchers is absolutely amazing. And so, tell us a little more about, what do you do with farmers and ranchers?
So in my title at the university at the Division of Agriculture in Arkansas, I'm an assistant vice president, and I'm wear a couple of hats as a full professor and also the director of the Southern Center, which I'll get into more detail later. But I work at entrepreneurship, value-added agriculture, and then integrated. I'm with the land grant university, so I work on promoting projects that intertwine research, teaching, and extension. So land grant university has a College of Agriculture, but has a three-legged mission of research, teaching, and extension. I'm a 100% extension faculty member, which means that I take the research findings and the best practices that occur on our campus and other land grant campuses, and we take it out to the community.
Well, Ron, I'm just listen at what you're doing, opportunities for our farmers and ranchers. But question I have for you, Joe, as we know how ranching, farming is our environment today. What are some of the challenges that you see facing agriculture?
Wow, so if in our farming community, they've always faced risk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Weather, markets, getting good markets, but then getting good prices for the products that they're trying to sell. And the thing about agriculture is that farmers are price takers on what they pay for their inputs and the prices that they receive. So we're going in about our fourth straight year where we had on the row crop side, we've had really, really tight profit margins because what farmers are paying for their inputs are increased, elevated. What they're receiving for their prices for their crops once they're harvested are at relatively, and some of them are at historical lows. We've seen some rebounds, but still relatively low, which makes for really, really thin profit margin. And so because our farmers are heading into about the fourth straight year, some would say 5, of these really tight squeeze on profitability, a number of farmers are being forced out of business. And so Arkansas has been ground zero for what's Chapter 12, which are farm bankruptcies.
Yes.
Because farmers when you can't make profits, especially if you're renting your land versus owning it, you don't have that collateral. The thing about farmers is that they are they're asset rich and cash poor because all of their assets are tied up in their land and equipment. So if they don't have land, that's a critical asset that they don't have on their balance sheet. And so they can't get operating loans. And so many of them are being forced out because they can't get operating loan. Some are voluntarily leaving. They don't want to eat up their collateral. But the bottom line is this is very tight financial markets. And even on the livestock side, where we're looking at really good prices, they're still paying some high cost on inputs. But when they sell their herd, they're having to pay that higher price to replenish their inventory. So we're looking at historically low inventories, which puts really tight, a lot more volatility on the prices. But it also becomes very costly to replenish your inventories. So even though they can go and sell and have a good day when they do a sale of their herd, they're going to have to come back and put out a little bit more money to replenish that herd to start for their next inventory. And so these tight profit margins are just creating a lot of uncertainty in agriculture, especially with farmers in their profitability, but more importantly, their long-term resiliency. Will they be around for the next 2 years? Because as we look into next year, we see that things aren't forecast to get much better. But the thing that's really changed in agriculture, they've always dealt with these risks. But now what happens globally impacts the local farm more than ever.
Absolutely.
You see the impact with China trade issues. You see the impact of the Ukraine war, fertilizer prices. You see the impact of the Iran war, diesel prices.
Yes.
And the shipment of all of those products that are going through that Strait of Hormuz. All of that adds to volatility, and businesses do not like volatility.
Absolutely.
And so we're just in this unprecedented time of intense financial stress. And I shouldn't say unprecedented. We saw something similarly in the 1980s, but in the 1980s, we lost 15% of our farmers. That's what they call the farm financial crisis.
Wow.
We lost 15% of farmers. I'm hearing similar expectations for this crisis, that we may lose 15, maybe even higher percent of our farmers.
Yeah, Ron, I'll be honest, I've been reading some statistics and articles and stuff, and being from Arkansas, we did hear that suicide, is one of the things, and I think Arkansas had, quite a number of suicides in there. And again, these farmers are under immense financial stress, But one thing I say, Ron, as you mentioned, being the director, of the Southern Risk Management Education Center, tell us how are you addressing, those issues? How are you addressing those issues?
Yeah, so as a director of the Southern Center, just one of the hats that I wear, I'm part of the Extension Risk Management Education Program, which is a national program. There's 4 regional centers. There's one in the South, which I direct. There's one out west at Washington State. There's one in the North Central region, which is the University of Nebraska. And there's one in the Northeast, which is the University of Delaware.
So you kind of cover it.
So nationally, we run not identical but similar programs. But each center has its own advisory council because we develop and try to make impacts at the grassroots local. If you think about across the country, agriculture differs regionally. For each region, they got some different weather patterns, they got different markets, they got different population centers for the markets that they're serving, they got different processing or elevator capacity. So it's going to make agriculture operate a little bit different in each region. What we try to do in each of our regional centers is we have a diverse advisory council made up of both public and private members representing different types of agriculture businesses, value added, livestock, row crop, commercial row crop, small scale row crop. We try to get a diverse advisory council, and what I say for our council in the South is if I've got a proposal that we're facing an issue, I need to have somebody that would be considered an expert in that area that can give us a grounded perspective.
Expert in that region.
In our region, yeah. So if I've got an organic issue, then I need somebody at my table that works in the organic sector. If it's a small scale livestock issue, then I need somebody that understands small scale livestock or commercial ranchers. And so we've got we got an advisory council for 2 different pools, but we have an advisory council that's made up of both public and private members. So what we do primarily within our center is we administer a competitive grants program for 2 grant levels. We do a traditional risk management, and when we say risk management is a very broad topic, but we have risk in production, marketing, finance, legal, and human risk.
Okay.
And we talk about risk in those spaces. We talk about risk strategies in those spaces so farmers can manage their risk and understand. But then we talk specifically about tools that they can do to implement. For example, on marketing risk, we talk about the use of contracts. On human risk, which is both your employees and family communication, we talk about estate and transition planning. Talk about employee training. So we have a structured framework to really help our farmers kind of understand the risk environment within which they operate, because it's not a matter of if they're going to face risk, it's when.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we try to be prepared. And so our tagline for my center is empowering producers. With SRMEC, we seek to empower producers, our farmers and ranchers, to manage risk. And we do that through the use of grants, and we do that through capacity building efforts. So for our grants, we have an advisory council or evaluation panel for the traditional risk management in those 5 areas. And then we have a separate pool that targets producers that are underutilizing federal crop insurance.
Interesting.
So 2 separate pools, we have a separate advisory council for that panels those proposals. And so for sectors that underutilizing federal crop insurance, either because it's a specialty crop and it's not widely accepted or grown, and so there's different options for that farmers can use. We try to talk about the different products or try to educate on the different products. That if you're a small diversified farmer that grows 5 different crops, what's the insurance that's best for you?
And see, one thing, just through conversation stuff, they do not understand that crop insurance.
No, they don't.
They do not understand crop insurance, and a lot of farmers ask that question, have those questions and stuff about crop insurance. But I think what you're doing there is absolutely amazing.
It's been really engagement because we've been involved with a regional pilot project for USDA's risk management agency called the Crop Insurance Navigators, where I've got a team of what I call program specialists that have trained up on crop insurance that go out and help our farmers and ranchers understand it. One of the biggest things that we found is that most of our small farmers, they were only using FSA's NAP program, non-insured ag products. They thought that was their only federal crop insurance. So one of the things we do, we explain the different products that are available, and we talk to the farmer about how to go and access those. So one of our navigators was going to a farm visit, and they were calling the farmer and said, okay, who is your agent? The farmer says, FSA. He said, no. Who's your agent? Farmer said, FSA, which means that all they had was NAP. This farmer became upset because the farmer said, nobody ever told me about these programs and policies that you're telling me, and I thought that I had crop insurance.
Wow.
And so think about that as a business owner, and you got a product that's been subsidized and developed to help you manage risk, and nobody told you about it.
And, one of the programs, and I'm going to ask you to go back over the 5 program, but you mentioned were financials. And crop insurance, I think farmers don't understand, is a help mitigate their financial risk. But if you don't have a proper placed policy, you just miss that opportunity.
Without a doubt. And the thing that I'll say when we do our crop insurance education is I try to highlight this to farmers is that you're managing your risk, but if you don't have crop insurance, you're managing off of your balance sheet.
Absolutely.
And so that hit that you take when you have a loss or a catastrophe, it could wipe the business out. And so farmers will say, I've had farmers tell me, I don't like crop insurance. Crop insurance doesn't pay. And I say, well, you may not really want it to pay. Here's what you want to do. I said, I got insurance on my car, but I'm not looking to go out and total it. I'm looking at if I have a catastrophic event that I can replace my car. That's what you want to do with crop insurance. So you price it, you see what it costs, and you transfer that risk from your balance sheet onto a crop insurance policy. And the real beauty of that is if you have a bad year, if you have a catastrophic event, you have a claim.
Absolutely.
If you have a great year, you might wince a little bit and you pay that premium, but you go on the next year and you put back and you pay for another premium. You're not worried about a catastrophic event wiping your business out.
Absolutely.
So the thing we try to communicate is the importance of transferring that risk on to someone else.
And it isn't true too as well. Farmers think when they take out crop insurance, they got this big bill up front. They don't have a bill up front. And I think, understand they don't have a bill up front.
And not only they don't have a bill up front, but it's subsidized.
Yes.
Crop insurance is subsidized. So we explain to them about the billing cycle. We explain to them about the level of subsidy.
Yes.
And there's a boost in that level of subsidy for beginning farmers under 10 years and for veteran farmers. They get a boost in their subsidies. And actually on our team in the southern region where that pilot was, we were actually walking them through and actually came up with a decision aid that would actually give them an estimate on what their premium would be. And talk about giving farmers information to make better decisions. We had a farmer, we showed them and said, this is what your premium would cost for a whole farm policy. And the farmer goes, shoot, I spend more on diesel than that. And so he could have transferred or she could have transferred this risk over to a crop insurance policy. And the beauty of it is that once you get your records aligned, your production history aligned, you've got that level of coverage going forward. And it's you line it out as a business expense, tax deductible. And then you come back and you start working and you work to grow your business and grow your assets. But it is a strategic step that you've got to consider. And even if you're starting out at a very low level, you just start and you start to grow it, that you're enhancing that coverage because You're not worried about a downturn in market price. If you're looking at specialty crops with whole farm revenue, you're guaranteeing a certain level of income from here on out.
Thank y'all for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you here. And so please visit Dr. Ron's Rainey information mentioned here today below.